Okay, welcome to the news. We got a nuclear episode today with the difficulty of delves increasing drastically if you're in a group, massive class changes before the Tuesday reset, the first official raid logs and their results, brand new class changes also on the PTR, more 11.05 news, datamines, so much more. My name is Sky from the Comeback Kids. We got your news today. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down. We got a lot to discuss. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we've been streaming live, our War Within talk show, talking just about everything going on every week, every Wednesday night. It has been great so far. We're trying to break the record of 100 live viewers. So if you guys are interested, please come and tune in every Wednesday. I would really, really love it. You don't got to donate. You don't got to do any of that crap. Just come hang out, enjoy each other's company. I promise you won't be disappointed. Starting off with the biggest headline of the day, we have upcoming class tuning for Mythic Week, which include Boomkin buffs, warrior nerfs, and so much more. Get ready, we got a lot to jump into. Starting off, it looks like Death Knight is seeing some buffs to the Sand Lane hero talent tree, with increasing its chance to trigger damage increase to Death Coil and Death Strike, strength buffs, and more. Additionally, they're trying to, tie this together with Blood by increasing their damage a lot as well, which is good because Blood DK was kind of lagging behind some of the other specs in terms of damage, so definitely look to try out the Sand Lane hero talent tree this Tuesday if you're a DK. For Balanced Druid, thankfully they're seeing some buffs as well. They are technically the worst DPS in the game, and they're making some decent changes. With a 6% damage increase across the board, 16% damage increase to Star Surge, and Starfall's damage being increased by a whopping 20%. This is back-to-back buffs for the Balanced Druid in the last couple patches, because listen, it's not a secret here, they have been falling behind all throughout the beta, so hopefully this can help them out. Additionally, for the Elun's Chosen hero talent tree, the Lunar Calling passive increasing their Starfire's damage to their primary target is now getting buffed to 80% rather than 65%. So this very well could be the best option when it comes to a raiding environment. So hopefully we'll see some changes Tuesday for them on the logs. For another low-performing class, Feral Druid, they're seeing some changes as well. They're actually getting reverted the Blood Talons and Lion Strength change to increase their damage to their AoE Ferocious Bite, which is quite odd considering it was just a week ago when they did that. Their damage is being increased overall by 3%, their Rip damage increased by 6%, Ferocious Bite's damage by 3%, and Feral Frenzy's damage by 10% as well. Lastly, when it comes to their hero talents, they're buffing Druid of the Claw to increase their Ravage damage by 3% additionally. And listen, I'm going to be honest, I don't think any of these buffs are going to do much for the state of Feral right now. I think they're going to stay pretty much exactly where they are, just subpar at best. So if you're a Feral Druid, you got to let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. For Restoration Druid, they're getting a flat healing increase by 8% and damage increase pretty much across the board. I think Resto Druid, once again, is going to need a lot more work. And I know a big rework is coming for them in 11.0.5, so they kind of just need to survive until then. For Evoker and Devastation, overall their Disintegrate damage is being increased by 10% and their Eternity Surge damage is being increased by 10% as well. This is definitely going to help their damage overall considering Disintegrate's like 35% of their total damage, so combine that with some more juicy Eternity Surge, this should definitely help them by a small percentage. For Mage, once again, they're seeing some changes, with Arcane actually getting some nerfs to their Sun Fury hero talent tree. The Meteorite damage is reduced by 15% now. The Burden of Power damage bonus for Arcane Blast and Arcane Barrage is also getting reduced to 20%, which was previously 30%, which honestly is going to hurt the spec a little bit. When it comes to Fire, however, all damage is once again getting buffed by 6%, while the Living Tickle, also known as Living Bomb, is being buffed by 25% now. Hopefully, Fire Mage can actually spec into some AoE fire damage builds with Living Bomb to where it actually means something, because currently Fire Mage is hitting like a wet noodle. Mistweaver Monk is getting some healing increase across the board, while Tiger Palm and Rising Sun Kick is seeing a 15% increase in damage here, so nothing too crazy. Other than that, some minor increase to their Fist Weaving. Holy Pally is actually seeing a flat healing reduction by 6%, and Avenging Crusader transfer is now being reduced by 160%, which is a very big deal, and I'm dying to hear what you all think about this in the comment section below if you're a Holy Pally. Additionally, for Retribution Paladin mains out there, Herald of the Sun's Dawn Light damage is actually getting reduced by a whopping 15%. We all know Retribution Paladins is, some of the top damage in the game, and they're using this right now to deal some of that damage. So this is definitely going to hurt the spec. For Outlaw Rogue, being one of the top DPS in the game, of course, Blizzard had to put them on watch. All their ability damage is now reduced by 4%, dispatch damage being reduced by 10%, and their melee auto attack damage now reduced by 8%. So I guess to supplement for this, they took their tier sets, which were the worst in the game, and are now buffing them by nearly double. So hopefully this can supplement some of these changes a little bit more and make your tier set bonuses a bit more rewarding for Outlaw Rogue. Enhancement Shaman is getting buffed by 4% when it comes to their overall damage, but their Witch Doctor's Ancestry will now reduce the cooldown of Feral Spirits by 1 second rather than 2 seconds, which they're definitely going to feel. To help supplement for this, they're buffing their tier set bonus by a bit, so we'll see how that goes. Restoration Shaman damage is increased, so nothing going on crazy here, but boy oh boy, we got some decent stuff for Warlock, with Demonology now seeing a 20% damage increase to Demon Bolt, a 45% damage increase to the Pack of Eredun, summon Doomguard damage, which has a chance to be summoned after your Doom expires, a 15% damage increased overall to their Felguard also, so I would say these are some decent buffs. I think that they're going to total out to maybe 5 to 10% damage increase, which should help the class. Hopefully they get some more soon. Destruction Warlock is also getting buffed by 6% across the board, and Dimensional Rift's damage is now being increased by a massive 40%. Not only that, Channel Demon Fire is getting increased by 40% as well, so we might definitely see some meta shifts for Warlock when it comes to them. Some of their other abilities are now going to be hitting harder. It's going to be interesting to see, because right now, currently, it's all about Shadow Burn. But by far, the biggest changes across the board is going to be coming to Warrior. Biggest changes to them is going to be the nerfs to their Blade Storm and Odin's Fury. There are some of the hardest hitting abilities for Warrior overall. You combine that with the fact that you tie in Whirlwind to increase the AoE damage, and then you're using it on 4, 5, 6 guys at once. Your damage is going nuclear. They're nerfing that, but they're buffing Mountain Thane a little bit in a couple areas, and then they're buffing the first initial strikes from Demolish. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, these are the class changes this week, heading into Mythic Week. A lot of big ones happening here. Gonna see some meta shifts, hopefully. We're gonna be breaking down the raid logs of last week later on today's video. Let's jump into Delves. Starting off with a massive headline this week being about Delves, a lot of players out there have been suggesting that Delves have been a little too difficult solo, and the #1 way to farm out those bountiful tier 8s is to actually hop in a group and just steamroll everything you encounter inside. Not only did this make Delves much faster, and it kind of made the content rather trivial, it meant that you can get those 603 champion pieces very, very easy. Well, it seems that Blizzard had no intention of this being the way to go when it comes to Delves, and they actually just nerfed it pretty damn hard. That's right, because with the recent hotfix on September 12th, the damage and health of mobs of enemies inside Delves have been increased drastically to scale with your group inside. Blizzard actually put out an official post stating that their goal is to match the difficulty of solo and group play in Delves as much as possible. When they looked at the data on group Delves, they noticed unexpectedly low combat times coupled with unexpectedly high lethality, meaning that the root cause of this issue was actually groups, and they're correcting it. This fix will increase the scaling of enemies per additional player present, but also they're going to be reducing the damage scaling of many abilities to help compensate for that. Now listen, I know a lot of players out there were simply saying to just, farm Delves in a group and everything will be fine, but that very easily could change now. I think even still with the group, I do think it's easier than solo, because there are some points where you just get one-shotted by certain things above like a tier 8 or 9. So now it's just in place to where grouping for a Delve makes it kind of like a mini Mythic 0 dungeon where you have some objectives and some tough bosses near the end and stuff. Listen, I'm going to be honest. Personally, I think this is a good thing, and I thought it was kind of ridiculous that people were just blasting through these Delves in a group while, solo players could barely get anything done. You guys got to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, because this is easily some of the hottest news this week, and I gotta hear your thoughts. To compensate also for solo players though, they did just add an enemy spell damage reduction by 20%. Because listen, we all know that when we went in there solo, if you pulled more than a couple casters at one time and they're like spread out in the room, they'll just take like 30% of your health every time they get a cast off. So they actually reduced this by 20%. So I guess this is a good change to help compensate for that. Now, those are the raw gameplay changes. We're going to shift focus a little bit now to talk about Delver's Bounty, which is a random treasure map you can actually obtain from Delves that awards you with hero track gear starting at 610 item level, which is insane. Now, the way you get this is actually very simple. It's just kind of RNG based. At the end of every bountiful delve, you have a 4% chance from each of the side blue chests to get what is called a Delver's Bounty. The item states to decipher the map, guaranteeing that you'll find a tier 8 hidden trove at the end of your next tier 8 or higher delve you complete. Now, pretty much, that's just a fancy way of saying you're going to get some guaranteed fat loot at the end of your next 8+ delve. These rewards include a 610 heroic piece, 3 gilded Harbinger crest, undercoins, resonance crystals, things for your companion, and more. Lance was actually lucky enough to get one of these bad boys, as well as my buddy Hello J Tello. And I'm not going to lie, earning a guaranteed heroic item right now is pretty damn game-changing. Yes, it is very RNG-based, considering it's just a 4% chance from each chest. But man, I feel like everyone's getting it except for me at this point. I feel like, you know, they got it out for me. So you guys got to let me know if you've gotten one of these before. I'm pretty jealous right now. Lastly, also for the Delve updates, it seems that the final boss in all of Delves, Zekvir, actually has a chance of spawning in your Delve randomly. This is something that happened on Kalamazi's stream the other day while he was in, you know, a Delve farming it with a group, and it actually wiped him and his entire party by itself, which is really, really funny. If any of you have ever played Diablo 4, it's kind of like a mechanic similar to when the butcher spawns in your dungeon randomly and just out of nowhere tries to come and whoop your butt. This was always, you know, one of my favorite things in Diablo because it really got me nervous, got me, you know, heartbeat racing a little bit faster, so I thought that was really cool. I'm glad we just don't have any, you know, hardcore characters anymore because that used to haunt my dreams back in Diablo 4. Nevertheless, love this feature. Nice little homage to Diablo 4. Additionally, also this week, the Neurobar Powerless raid officially opened up, and boy, has it been a big week for Warcraft. Listen, we wanted to just quickly highlight some of the best class specs performing in the raid right now, whether it be from DPS, healing, or tanking. Just remember, when we're going through this, we're going to be making a dedicated video soon to talk about this, but we just want to, you know, give you a little sneak peek today. Starting off with DPS, this took no one by surprise when seeing in the upper echelon of class specs, we have, of course, Fury Warrior, Arms Warrior, Enhancement Shaman, Arcane Mage, and Ret Paladin. But what did surprise everyone, however, was actually Outlaw Rogue. Yes, the RNG Fiesta spec that's constantly rolling dice as well as flipping coins is performing pretty well right now, considering they have incredible mobility to stay on top of bosses and mobs, as well as on-demand AoE to increase their damage consistently. Fury Warrior dominating right now with their entire kit practically being massive AoE DPS. Arcane Mage, of course, bringing non-stop arcane orbs and barrages to cleave everything down, while practically being all on the move with nuclear offensive CDs that are all on a low cooldown. And then lastly, another big surprise, Retribution Paladin, amongst the best of the best, just barely being under Arcane Mage. Now moving on now, dropping down to slightly above average, you have specs like Frost Death Knight, Windwalker Monk, Elemental Shaman. These are classes that are performing pretty well right now, but definitely aren't the main topics of the session. All of these are above average and generally pretty good. So if you're playing any of these specs, I would definitely be happy if I was you. Dropping down now to the subpar DPS, we have specs like Frost Mage, Feral, Balance Druid, Fire Mage, Destruction, Demonology Warlock, as well as Shadow Priest. These are all specs that sadly aren't doing too well right now numbers-wise, and hopefully looking for some sort of buff or design change heading into 11.0.5. Now listen, I do know this is the very first week of raid logs, and don't let this be, you know, the end-all be-all if your spec is good or not. We're just simply here to give you a general direction of how classes are, you know, kind of performing in the raid at this very moment, because it is kind of important as a week one thing to get a generalization of where your spec stands. Moving on now to everyone's favorite healers. To no surprise, performing at the top is Holy Paladin and Preservation Evoker. Between both of these hero talent trees being amazing, the brand new designs to them, raid-wide snapshot, instant chunky heals, as well as some hots. I mean, their healing is through the roof right now, leaving them in first and second place. To a big surprise though, we have Discipline and Holy Priest right after them. So I'm sure a lot of you Priest players are happy with how you're performing in raids. Let's just hope you can keep it up in a Mythic Plus environment where I'm kind of worried. And then we, of course, have Restoration Shaman slightly behind them. And then for the final two specs that are performing slightly behind that, we have Mistweaver, and then drastically behind Mistweaver, we have Restoration. We have seen some class changes to Resto Druid on the PTR right now, and that's something we're going to dive into later. We'll get into that in a minute. And then for tanking, Vengeance Demon Hunter is without a doubt pulling the top damage, and it isn't really a surprise to anyone as that was happening in the beta as well. Slightly behind them, you have Protection Warrior, which combined with, you know, Protection Warrior's defensive capabilities makes them a damn good tank right now to have in your raid. Additionally, performing middle of the pack, we have Blood Death Knight and Guardian Druid, and then slightly behind them in the below average DPS categories, we have Protection Paladin and lastly, Brewmaster Monk. Now listen, like I said, this is just a general showing of how the classes are performing right now in this very moment. You all have to let me know what classes you main right now, and if you've done the raid yet, sort of give me a breakdown on how you think your class is doing. I'm really curious to hear all your thoughts about your spec individually in the comment section below, so let me hear all about it. Additionally, when it comes to the raid, it was confirmed that tier set tokens can actually drop as WarBound until equipped, which is insane for your alternate characters. That's right, WarBounds are even more amazing than we thought because teardrops can be transferred across your account. This means that it's actually a personal tier token specifically for your warband, and the rules for this tier token remain the same as the other warbound loot, meaning that you can only get these tier tokens from bosses that they drop from, and they will also drop at one tier lower than the content you're actually clearing. For example, if you're clearing Heroic Nurubar Palace, you only get a normal warbound until equipped item. Absolutely loving the system. Definitely incentivize you to play multiple characters at once. Really, really great thing in my opinion. Additionally, some very critical items that can actually drop from the raid include 5 brand new profession recipes from the bosses. As you can see from the loot on screen here, you have a leather working belt that has a unique equip effect to, when you take damage, you have a chance to gain primary stat. The Deciphering Stiletto Dagger, which has a chance to siphon life from the target to not only steal health, but deal more damage. A brand new embellishment called the Dusk Thread Lining that increases your versatility while you're above 80% of your maximum health. And lastly, a weapon enchantment that has a chance to apply Suffocating Darkness, which inflicts shadow damage stacking up to 3 times. I always loved in classic World of Warcraft, getting those rare recipe drops from bosses in a raid and, really increasing my professions heading into the future. It always just made me feel like I was the only one who had it. It made me feel like it was exclusive to me. It was just awesome to have something that rare come from a raid and actually tie into my professions. Additionally, there's actually a brand new way you can get a free heroic raid tier piece that a lot of people don't actually know about. The whole goal is to actually achieve a Mark of Spelunker Supreme, which is awarded from defeating Queen and Sarek on heroic difficulty. Additionally, you can reach 1600 rated in PvP or reach a 2000 Mythic Plus rating next week. Now listen, after you complete one of these tasks, you're awarded with the Mark of Spelunker Supreme, which can then be turned in for a free piece of heroic tier set. Now personally, I'm going to, try to hit that 1600 rated PvP on Solo Shuffle. I'm at like 1540 right now, 1550, something like that. Hopefully I can get that later tonight before the raid. Looking forward now toward the future, we have a lot of news on 11.0.5 that we have to break down for you all. It's looking like, as of the other day, data mining hints at 11.0.5, and WoW's 20th anniversary looks like it got itself a release date. While, listen, the official Blue Post notes the, 20th anniversary event will run through all months of November and December. We know that, but the patch actually might be coming slightly earlier than that. As you can see, the start date for the Time Walking Dungeon events in WoW's 20th anniversary is actually listed here in October 22nd, 2024, with the event actually concluding at January 4th, 2025. So that means we could be getting the patch as early as about a month and like a weekish from now, which is insane as a time schedule. And it shows how dedicated and hardworking they're actually, toward the War Within so far, which is absolutely insane. I'm loving it. If this is true, that means in a month from now, we will have, a massive 0.5 event, major class changes, reworks, brand new raid, so much more, which is insane to think about. So mark your calendars. It could be as early as October 22nd. Additionally, as of just the other day, we actually got some brand new data mines of, some new class changes. Some of the biggest ones including for Druid and Rogue. Starting off with Restoration Druid, there are getting 4 new talents in the new patch that include giving them additional nature swiftness charges, cooldown reduction on Swiftman, and some additional healing after getting a clear casting proc. Now, after seeing the logs of Restoration Druid and sadly how they're kind of performing the lowest in the game, I think at this point Resto Druid will take kind of anything they can get. So if you're a Resto main out there, you gotta let me know in the comment section below, what does this spec need? What does it need to feel a lot better and perform better in a PvE environment? Let me hear about it below. Additionally, for Rogue, they are seeing a couple of new talents as well, which include Supercharger, which works almost like Echoing Reprimand, but for baseline abilities like Shiv, Roll the Bones, and Symbols of Death, which seem quite neat. And then they have a new talent called Forced Induction, which just further increases the damage, a finishing move consumes when they consume that supercharged anima point. So the idea is that they want this whole supercharged combo point thing to come back and be baseline. And with this now coming into the game, they're actually completely reworking Echoing Reprimand to make it to where after you consume one of these supercharged combo points, your next Mutilate, Sinister Strike, or Backstab also strike with an Echoing Reprimand to deal additional damage. So it's like a nice 1-2 punch. So definitely some interesting gameplay changes here, but we're going to have to see what else actually comes to the class changes and what becomes official as 11.0.5 draws near. We still have massive changes to Hunter, Mage, Monk, Paladin, Shaman, and so much more. We already saw the Elemental Shaman and Enhancement are pretty much just getting reworks to both of their talent trees with like dozens of new talents being integrated for Shaman spec in particular and their talent trees. And then if you combine that with the rework to Totemic Hero talent tree, in a little over a month's time, we're going to be getting like complete reworks to a lot of classes, which is really, really crazy to think about. I'm really hoping they keep it up and emphasize some of these changes to classes like Feral, Balanced Druid, Shadow Priest, Fire Mage, because the truth is, those classes are doing pretty damn poor right now, and if you go on the forums, they're nonstop complaining and stressing the wants and needs of the classes. Moving on now to more future content, we all know that coming in 11.0.5 is a brand new revised Blackrock Depths normal and heroic raid, but it seems like they're going all out and even revamping a lot of the boss models inside. A majority of the bosses have received honestly quite large facelifts, and as you can see on the models on screen here, this includes High Interrogator Garston, Phineas Darkvire, the Seven, General Angerforge, Ambassador Flamelash, the Emperor and his Princess. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I'm actually really, really excited to get back into BRD as a raid and run it again like we did back in the day in Classic and stuff. Easily one of my favorite, dungeons of all time. And I thought they were going to actually make this a raid inside a Season of Discovery, where actually they gave us Sunken Temple, which was a steaming pile of dog shit. Shout out to my buddy Tello, by the way.
Much love to you guys. My ass needs to go to bed.
Not only that, though, highly requested changes are coming to the Tier 2 transmogs, which is a pretty big feature coming to the event, to where you will actually have pantsuit versions of them for some of the casters out there. As you can see on screen here, there will be variances with a robe, but then additionally a variant with a pantsuit that you'll be able to choose from. And honestly, I can't emphasize how awesome a little change like this actually is, because I personally have always preferred using transmogs for casters that have pants rather than robes, and I think it's just a big W that they're actually bringing this into the game. Additionally, there could be a brand new cost reduction achievement for the Tier 2 sets coming with the event as well. The achievement is actually called Upgraded Apparel, where after you purchase an upgraded Tier 2 armor set during the event, you'll be rewarded with lower cost of Tier 2 armor and symbols in the future, making it much easier for you to buy multiple sets at a time. The whole idea is with there being 13 classes receiving updated Tier 2 armor sets, you're going to have your work cut out for you if you're trying to collect all of them. So they make a reduction so you can try to buy more of them at a time, which is another big, big W. Not only that, we also have some more data mines when it comes to cosmetics and the trading post, where we have a ton of unused weapon tints and models from actually the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King looking like it's coming back into the game. You got some really awesome pole arms and staffs, weapons, bows, guns, maces, daggers, swords, two-handed weapons, shields, and just so much more, man. All of that fun stuff, the glorious, beautiful, nostalgic theme of the Burning Crusade and the Wrath of the Lich King that we all come to love over the years is actually coming back. I genuinely love the design themes of the Burning Crusade items in particular. They really have that classic feel to it, with a little bit of a twist, having some sort of neon or glow or sharp effect on it that I really, really love. Of course, not a lot of these are in high definition, and they use older weapon models that have a lot of distinctive silhouettes and stuff, but we're happy to see these unused tints and weapons come back into the game nonetheless. Also, we have more data mines toward the trading post rewards for Winter 2024, where they actually have Sylvanas armor, Logos armor, a purple Murloc snuggle suit, and faction-specific earmuffs. Hunters are definitely going to be very happy, considering that not only are they getting complete rework to the Dark Ranger hero talent tree, they're getting their very own Dark Ranger transmog as well. Melee DPS will be happy to roleplay as their favorite Stormwind King back in his glory days in the arena with the Gladiator's Battered Armored set. Of course, you have the faction-specific earmuffs, which I'm sure a lot of you are going to be rocking around Christmas time so you can show off your faction pride, while also keeping your ears warm. The Reigns of the Twilight Sky Prowler, which is a purple glowing fox that you can soar through the sky with. And my personal favorite, we have, of course, the Christmas-themed weapons, like the Candied Knife, that's a nice little dagger, the Tree Topper, which is for you two-handed staff users, the Cheerbringer XL, which is a massive two-handed mace with a present attached to the end of it, the Candied Blade, that's a massive candy cane with a pointy end, and the Aegis of Yuletide, which looks amazing and looks like something you'll actually put on your front door during Christmas time. I'm going to be honest, I love the whole, holiday themed transmogs. I've always been a sucker for them, so I'm glad they're actually emphasizing that, bringing it to the trading post this December. It's really, really cool stuff. I'm probably going to be spending like thousands of Trader's Tender, and I'm going to probably go broke, but I do think it's worth it. Something else that's actually really cool that's coming are these awesome little hoods that you can toggle on and off with masks. These are going to be coming in different color variants as well, including, light blue, silver, yellow, red, a ton more options. I absolutely love this idea. I think it'd be awesome for a lot of different transmogs out there. So let me know what you all think. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of really crazy changes this week, including the nerfs to delves and the grouping. I'm going to be honest, I think that's a pretty damn good change. I thought it was kind of ridiculous that you go in there with a group, you steamroll it, make it trivial. I think that's a big W. We also have some more class changes, you know, like Restoration Druid, which they desperately needed. Some minor design changes to Rogue, which I do think they needed as well. I'm hoping to emphasize some changes maybe to like Fire Mage, Shadow Priest, Balance Druid, Feral Druid, something like that in the future. So hopefully we get some more updates on that. We will keep you all updated very, very soon. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It is an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Stay tuned for more content. Until the very end, my name is Sky for the Comeback Kids. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the content, we have a ton of other videos to help you get through the war within, like these two right here. And since you're already here, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button to join the Comeback Kids family today, because every subscriber matters. Thank you all so much for enjoying the video. I'll see you in the next one.